Before Isaac Clarke ever set foot on the USG Ishimura, before the word necromorph was even whispered, there was a man named Michael Altman. And his story is the foundation of everything you think you know about the Dead Space universe. Most fans know Altman as a name, a prophet, a martyr, the figurehead of the Church of Unitology. Altman be praised. You've heard it 1,000 times, but the first Dead Space novel, simply titled Martyr, written by B.K. Evenson, reveals the horrifying truth. Michael Altman wasn't a willing prophet. He never wanted a religion built in his name. And the thing that Unitology worships, the marker, it didn't choose him. It tried to destroy him. Today, we're diving deep into Dead Space Martyr. We'll summarize the entire novel, explain the crucial lore it introduced, the black marker, the origin of the hallucinations, the first necromorph outbreak, and then we'll explore the most disturbing theories that still haunt this universe. By the end, you'll understand why this book isn't just a prequel. It's a tragedy that makes the entire franchise even more terrifying. The year is 2214, nearly 3 centuries before the events of the first game. Deep in the Gulf of Mexico, off the coast of the Yucatan Peninsula, a team of researchers stumbles upon something impossible. A unique electromagnetic anomaly buried in the Chicxulub crater. Yes, the very same impact site linked to the extinction of the dinosaurs. They dispatch a deep-sea submersible. The pilot descends through crushing darkness and sees it, a massive twisted double helix structure, jet black, covered in strange symbols glowing with an eerie red light. It's a marker. Specifically the black marker, the original. It's not man-made, it's not alien technology in the traditional sense. It's something far older, something that's been waiting on Earth for 65 million years. The government swoops in immediately. A massive floating research facility is constructed in secret right above the marker's location. They call it the Dredgercorp Station, but its true purpose is to study this artifact. The project is classified at the highest level, run by a shadowy cabal of military and intelligence figures known as the Overseers. Michael Altman is a geophysicist, a brilliant and deeply ethical man. He's brought onto the project not for his faith but for his mind. From day one, Altman is unsettled, not just by the marker but by the way the military treats it. The head of security, a paranoid man named Markov, and his scientist counterpart Stevens treat the marker like a weapon to be reverse-engineered. Altman believes it's a signal, something trying to communicate. And he's right, the marker has a signal, an electromagnetic field that begins affecting the researchers almost immediately. The first signs are insomnia, then vivid dreams. People see dead relatives. Altman himself starts seeing a woman he once loved, a hallucination so real it nearly breaks him. But Altman is unique. He's intelligent, empathetic, and strong-willed. The marker's influence doesn't consume him like it does others. Instead, it seems to study him. Then the suicides begin. Researchers, driven mad by their hallucinations, start killing themselves in ritualistic ways. A scientist calmly walks into an airlock and vents herself into space. Another slits his own throat while whispering, "Make us whole." The overseers suppress the information. Anyone who becomes unstable is simply eliminated, their deaths covered up. The marker is too valuable to abandon. The breakthrough and the true horror comes when they discover the marker's DNA. The black marker isn't just a transmitter, it contains genetic instructions, complex alien code. The scientists under Stevens begin trying to synthesize it to create a replica of the marker's energy source. They don't realize they're playing with a blueprint for death. Altman is the first to voice the obvious. The marker is manipulating them. It's not a passive object, it's an active, malevolent intelligence. It pushes people to self-destruction, and in doing so, it feeds on something. But the overseers don't listen. They've already begun construction on a second marker, a red marker. They're going to build their own. A researcher consumed by the marker's code transforms. Her body twists, cracks, and reforms into something monstrous. An infector, a slasher, the novel describes it as a terrifying, lethal predator. In the chaos, the infection spreads, the dead rise, the scientists who died peacefully in the morgue reanimate. The quiet research station becomes a charnel house. This is the first recorded necromorph outbreak in human history, centuries before Aegis VII. Altman, trapped and horrified, does what he never wanted to do. He fights. Not for unitology, not for the overseers, but for survival and to expose the truth. He realizes that the hallucinations, the visions of loved ones aren't ghosts. They're the marker's way of creating convergence. It wants to absorb all life, all consciousness into something, a final form. The phrase, "make us whole," isn't a plea, it's a threat. In a desperate act, Altman manages to sabotage the facility's power core, destroying the laboratory and sinking the red marker prototype into the abyss. He believes he's stopped the nightmare. He hasn't. The overseers capture him, and they do something far worse than kill him, they steal his story. You see snippets of the outbreak leaked to the outside world. Whispers of a miraculous discovery of life after death of a man who communed with the divine. The public, hungry for meaning, begins crafting legends. The government, led by Markov, sees an opportunity. They can't admit they created monsters. They can't admit the marker drove people insane. So they do the most cynical thing imaginable. They create a religion. They torture Altman. For months, they experiment on him, trying to understand why he's resistant to the marker's signal. His brain holds a unique pattern. They want to extract that resistance. In the end, they fail. They can't break his will, but they can break his body. They kill him. The exact method is horrific. They inject him with a synthesized version of the marker's tissue, hoping to trigger a transformation. Instead, Altman's body rejects it catastrophically. The government releases a doctored narrative to the press. Michael Altman, they claim, was a visionary. He didn't fight the marker, he embraced it. He was martyred by non-believers who feared the truth. They falsify his writings, twist his words. "Make us whole" becomes a sacred mantra, not a death rattle. They publish a fraudulent text, the Black Book of Altman, filled with prophecies about the marker's power to grant eternal life. And here's the darkest irony. The real Altman's final moments are recorded. The torture, the defiance, the slow, agonizing death. The overseers preserve the footage and bury it in a vault, stamped with the highest classification. The only true relic of Michael Altman is a snuff film, hidden away by the very government that would later be infiltrated and controlled by unitologists. The religion built on his martyrdom is a monument to his murderers. The novel ends on this devastating note. The unitology symbol spreads across the solar system. The research on the black marker continues in secret, leading to the creation of later marker copies, the very ones Isaac Clarke will encounter. Altman's name is spoken in reverence, but his warning is forgotten. Don't trust the marker, it lies. Those words never made it into the scripture. Now that we have the narrative, let's unpack the essential lore that Martyr established, because it changes everything about how you see the games. First, the black marker is the source, not a copy. In the games, you encounter markers that humanity built, the red marker on Aegis VII, the Site-12 marker on Titan Station. These are imitations. The black marker is the real deal. It arrived on Earth via an asteroid impact that wiped out the dinosaurs. The implication is staggering. The markers are a galactic extinction mechanism. They find intelligent life, cause a convergence event that wipes it out, and then wait for the next species to evolve. Humanity was next in line. Second, the marker signal works in stages. The novel describes the signal as a dead space in the electromagnetic spectrum, a carrier wave of infinite complexity. It bypasses conscious thought and speaks directly to the brain's deeper structures. The stages are 1. Insomnia and paranoia. 2. Hallucinations tailored to the victim's memories, always of someone they loved or felt guilt over. 3. Compulsive behavior, often leading to suicide or violence. 4. Reanimation of organic tissue into necromorphs. Third, the origin of the necromorphs. Martyr shows us the first human-created necromorphs, but crucially, it reveals they aren't a direct product of the black marker. The black marker's signal requires architects to create the recombinant infection. The novel implies the black marker contains a biological cipher that, when decoded and replicated by curious scientists, produces the infection. It's a trap. Fourth, the hallucinations are not your friends. This is vital. In the games, Nicole's apparition feels like a haunting. Martyr confirms she's a weapon. The marker studies your deepest psychological wounds and weaponizes them. Altman's hallucination of his deceased girlfriend tells him to trust the marker to help it. When he refuses, it turns hostile, showing him visions of cosmic horror. Fifth, the creation of unitology. Unitology is not a genuine belief system that discovered a truth. It's a state-sponsored psychological operation that spun out of control. This explains the duality in the games, why some unitologists seem like wide-eyed faithful and others are cold, calculating operatives. The church's upper echelons know the truth, they're descendants of the overseers, continuing the weapons program under the guise of salvation. Martyr leaves a lot of questions unanswered, which is fertile ground for theories. Let's explore the most compelling and horrifying ones. Theory 1. Altman is the necromorph moons. This is the most pervasive and terrifying fan theory. Remember how Altman died, injected with pure marker tissue, his body dissolving, his consciousness defiant to the end. The novel notes his unique brain pattern was recorded. What if that pattern wasn't just recorded? What if it was harvested? The Brethren moons, as revealed in Dead Space 3, are colossal necromorphs formed by the absorbed consciousness of an entire species. But every moon needs a seed, a core intelligence to drive the convergence. The theory posits that Altman's defiant, singular mind became the template for the first human-origin moon. When unitologists chant Altman be praised into the void, they might literally be broadcasting a frequency that feeds the moon that is Altman, twisted, insane, forever trapped, the very thing he fought to destroy. This would make his fate the ultimate cosmic horror, the martyr forced to become the god of the apocalypse. Theory 2. The black marker was already a dead moon. We know the Brethren moons are the final stage. But what if the black marker isn't just a device? What if it's a fragment of a previous moon sent out as a seed? The Chicxulub asteroid wasn't a random rock, it was a delivery system. A dead moon from a previous cycle, shattered and cast into space, eventually finding its way to Earth. This explains why the black marker has such vast alien intelligence. It's the compressed, dormant remains of an entire extinct civilization, its consciousness reduced to a parasitic signal. It's not just a machine, it's a corpse with a will. The Make Us Whole mantra is literally the dead civilization begging to be reborn through new flesh. Theory 3. Altman was never immune, he was being groomed. The novel suggests Altman was resistant. What if that resistance was a lie? The marker's goal is convergence, not just chaos. It needs architects to build more markers. It needs intelligent agents who can manipulate others. It's possible the marker allowed Altman to feel resistant to make him a more effective leader. It gave him just enough clarity to try and stop the immediate outbreak, knowing his failure would be weaponized by the government. The marker's signal is patient on a geological scale. Altman's martyrdom and the subsequent creation of unitology guaranteed the spread of markers across human space more effectively than a single outbreak ever could. Altman's entire rebellion might have been part of the script. Theory 4. The real Altman is the hallucination. This is a deeply psychological theory. By the end of the novel, the public figure of Michael Altman is entirely fabricated, a composite of lies, edited videos, and rewritten diaries. There is no authentic Altman in the public consciousness. In the Dead Space universe, when people see visions of Altman guiding them as hinted in some extended media, what are they seeing? It's not the man, it's the signal. The marker has absorbed the mythic persona. So when Isaac or any other survivor later sees a helpful figure that claims to be Nicole or a loved one, the marker might be using the idea of Altman, the comforting, prophetic archetype, to manipulate the faithful. The lie has become a literal ghost in the machine. Theory 5. The cycle was never broken. Martyr takes place in 2214. The games end with Isaac and Carver seemingly defeating the moon above Tau Volantis, but the novel implies the markers operate on a fail-deadly principle. The black marker on Earth is never destroyed in the book. It's contained, studied, and eventually moved. But what if its signal has been patiently, quietly influencing Earth for centuries? What if the unitology-controlled Earth government is nothing but a farm waiting for the signal to reach critical mass? The franchise's ambiguous ending in Awakened shows the moons arriving at Earth. Martyr whispers the horrifying possibility Earth was never the cradle of resistance. It was the primary cult breeding ground from the very beginning. Convergence didn't start with the Ishimura, it started the moment Altman died. Dead Space Martyr is more than just a tie-in novel, it's the foundational tragedy of the entire franchise. It recontextualizes every scream, every hallucination, every whispered prayer. Make Us Whole isn't a spiritual promise. It's the predatory call of a species-scale anglerfish luring us with the light of our own dead loved ones. Michael Altman's true legacy isn't the Church of Unitology. It's a warning that the universe is cold, that the things we dig up will reshape us in their image, and that the truth is often the first casualty of human ambition. He died trying to expose a horror, only to have his name carved onto the weapon. So the next time you boot up Dead Space and see those words scrawled on a wall in blood, Altman be praised, remember the man who screamed against the dark and was silenced. Remember the martyr who never wanted to be one. And remember, the marker only ever tells you one truth, it lies. Thank you for watching. If you want more deep dives into Dead Space lore, the fate of the Ishimura, the true history of Earth Gov, or the Brethren Moons, let me know in the comments. Until next time, keep your plasma cutter close and trust no signal.